Hello and welcome to Bendy, a podcast about being flexible in all of the ways that means. Thanks for joining us. My name is Andy Young, and I'm one of your notable, momentous hosts. Joining me, as always, is our other notable and momentous host, Beth Martin. Beth, a
I think
pleasure
we
as always. What's the crack?
we are totally notable.
So notable, so momentous. For some reason, I threw an extra comma in there, and it really threw me off. It's like, I'm pausing here. I'm not pausing here. Oh no,
Oh, comma.
panic.
Do you like get angry when people use like parentheses and
Like,
apostrophes wrong?
no, not really. I, I,
Okay.
I truly don't like. So I think I did my. I thought I've mentioned before. I did a communication studies degree. The
Mhm.
thing that I took from that, I think the thing that is been most valuable to me in my life is if you are successful in getting your message across, then who cares about all the bells and whistles about precision and all that sort of shit. If you have adequately got your message across, then communication is complete, you know?
Such a like Star Trek thing to
It is.
say.
It is. It's true. It's well, it's in my DNA.
I love it when people spell things wrong and I get to point it out. It's my
What
favorite thing.
what a
I'm
jerk.
that person. I know I'm such an asshole. I'm like, I'll be reading, like I we were we were driving by the community college the other day and they
Mhm.
had high school diploma, like you can get your high school diploma through like your GED or something, and but they spelled diploma wrong and I was like dying. I'm like, pull over, I have to take a photo.
I I have to say, my fairly major exception to this is whenever people are trying to fucking like hi-hat you and be like, "Oh, I'm really intelligent," and then they make a mistake or they do something stupid. I love pointing those out, but by and large, it's whatever to me.
You're a nicer human than me.
Yeah, that's debatable, but
We know
sure.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the crack, it's not happening like right where I am, but there's an eclipse happening
Mm-hmm.
across the United States. So it's hitting the East Coast, like Alabama. I'm getting all these states wrong, probably. Idaho, Tech, like, and it's like ending in Texas. And so my
Uh-huh.
mom actually flew to one of those states and is watching it.
Oh, nice.
Everyone's freaking out. They're canceling festivals. And it's gonna start, I think, in like an hour, and then go till like 1 o'clock my time. Start around like noonish, and then
Yeah.
go till one. But I wanted to tell you about my eclipse experience
Mm-hmm.
because it came over where the place I lived in Oregon, like I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, 5 years ago. Um, and it was like a totality eclipse, so
Mm.
the moon totally covered the sun, like in Lady Hawk, right? Have you ever seen that movie
I have, yeah.
with Matthew Broderick? And so I turned into yeah, a wolf, because I'm playing Matthew Broderick's character apparently.
Mm-hmm.
But it was the weirdest thing. Like we made a little like gadget so that the kids could, see
Look
it,
at it
and
safely.
you could actually see the
Oh, the sun
actually
or the
the
moon move.
sun,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, moving
Very
over the
cool.
sun and the sun becoming nothing and then, moving. So when it happened, like it got dark. The house lights, outside lights came on, like it was getting dark. The birds stopped singing.
Ooh.
Like, and everyone had like pulled over, like, so there was absolute silence for like, I don't know, it was probably like 10 minutes.
Hmm.
And you could actually see solar flares on the ground. I was like, what is that? Mike's like, those are solar flares. I'm like, holy shit. So it's like really kind of a cool thing.
Yeah.
And there are actually people who spend their year like figuring out, okay, like the eclipse is there and they travel to that place, or there are also airplanes that will take you and fly you to the destination of where that eclipse will be, and like
Very
you're on the
cool.
airplane like looking. And so like I know everyone needs a hobby, and there are people that are like, tornado hunters, but there are also
Yeah.
eclipse hunters as well. So
That's cool. I
yeah.
like, 'cause I know that it's going to be partially viewable in well, I think in Ireland, but I think part of England as well. But as always here, the big problem with anything like that is that there's fucking clouds everywhere.
Yeah.
So uh, I don't think visibility is going to be great. And I have a memory as a kid of seeing one, like when I was still in primary school.
Hmm.
But it's only very, very sort of vague memory of it.
Yeah.
Having to make special glasses like the way pinhole
Yes.
glasses. Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy here. Like they're saying that like electronics are gonna shut off and like they were worried in Oregon that like 2 million people were gonna descend on the state and like did they have enough bathrooms? Like was there enough highway space? And like it ended up like being completely like a nothing burger in that regard. Like it wasn't a big deal. There was plenty of highway space, like, but people
Yeah.
were freaking out. People were
That's
freaking out.
nuts, actually. Yeah,
Yeah.
that really is nuts. Yeah, yeah, I mean,
It's like
I
Y2K kind of thing.
yeah, but I mean, like, I think those things always like express to me how like, unevolved we are. Like, or, like as soon as something like this happens, just panic sets in, and things start shutting down. It's like I mean, like it doesn't really last super long. It's a well documented and understood event, you know.
Right, right.
But
And it's also interesting. I've been reading what the Indigenous Americans are saying. They're like if you're pregnant, don't go outside because they think that there's like lore around it, like
yeah,
your baby might have a birthmark and I don't know, other things like that.
I
I
I
just realized that Matthew Broderick was not the wolf in Lady Hawk. I'm sorry.
I don't. I have seen it, but I was so young. I barely even
Yeah.
remember that Matthew Broderick was in it. So but I'm aware. I have seen the film years ago.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah,
What's the crack with you?
um. So I don't know if I talked about it in previous weeks. I hurt my back, so I've been mostly recovering. So I haven't been doing a ton of stuff. I had and I think this figure's wrong, but I had a kind of upsetting revelation playing video games yesterday. So when you're playing video games on the PlayStation, it gives you how many hours you've played in this game. And the game that I've been
Ah,
obsessed with recently, I think this is wrong. I looked at it the other day. I just caught a glimpse of it. I don't really like looking at those things. And it said 71 hours. And I was like, that's alarming. That's
that's
alarming.
not that bad.
I mean, I suppose comparatively, but I've only had the game for like 2.5 weeks.
I
So
still have 41 hours of Barbara Streisand to listen to,
well,
Andy.
okay, that's fair enough. That's a good point. And I suppose, it is very much my meditation. So,
Like
that's
you're
what I'm
meditating for
planning.
71 hours. How cool
This
is
is it,
that?
right?
Yeah,
It gets me out of my head.
you're so spiritual.
I really am. Um, I also in a fairly sort of milestone event. I think I told you this before. I've been wanting to give up weight, but like I have had some in the house. I know that if I attempt to, while I still have some,
He
it will
means
be
wheat,
weight. I do mean weight. Yeah,
listeners.
yeah.
Wheat.
Naturally, I would never advocate for anything illegal in my home country.
No.
Uh, and I have used the last of it this past weekend. It is
Mhm.
so I'm stepping into the unknown. Well, no, not the entirely unknown because I've done this before, but it's still scary. So we'll see what happens. It's
It's
my
not, it's actually not like once you, because I haven't eaten gluten in ooh, probably 4 years,
uh-huh,
3 years, 4 years.
uh-huh.
And like sometimes like I'll, you know, say fuck it.
Yeah.
And but it's like it affects my body. It causes me pain, blah blah blah. It's yeah, if you need food recommendations, let
No,
me know.
wait. I'm no, I said weed, not weed, like as in
Oh,
marijuana.
weed.
Yes, I was like, wait a minute, what's happening here?
I was like, I'm gluten free.
I was like, hold on.
Okay. Okay,
Uh,
back up. Sorry.
yeah,
What? So you have none in the house or you have some in the
I
house?
have none in the house. I've used the last bit of it. Yeah,
When
I know.
how many days has it been?
No, like literally last time was last night, so
Oh,
I
okay.
haven't even had a
Today's
single day of it. Yeah, this
okay.
we're right on the cusp of yeah.
Of the unknown.
of the unknown. I mean, as I say, not entirely unknown, and there's been years that have went without it, so it's not completely. It's just such a reliable crutch for me. I am interested to
Mm.
see what changes, if any, it makes. So yeah, brave new frontier, brave, he says,
Do
a
you
new
think so?
frontier.
Do you think it's like a do you think depression comes from weed?
I mean, like I know that I have always pushed back on that as a cause for sure, but I think that it's worth trying, and also because like I'm increasingly like something's got to give. I need something to change. I like I so I'm willing to put this to one side. Yeah, maybe not forever, but to see if it does have any sort of noticeable impact on me.
Hmm. A friend of ours who's a raging stoner, you know who
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about? Quit,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
quit,
Oh,
quit.
really?
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
I know. I'm
Good
very
for
like
them.
she was like, I haven't had any, and I was like, what?
Wow. Okay.
So,
Very good.
yep,
Interesting.
yeah.
Shit, I must pick your brains. Okay. All right.
Might
Right.
want to.
His or her
Their
brains.
brains, his or her
Their
brains, it
brains.
might be
Yeah.
worth
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yep.
Awesome.
I'll just say it's possible.
Oh yeah. I think I'm capable of it. I just know that I have relied upon it for so long. But like at the same time, it is such a I think I might have talked about this in particular on the pod before. Like it's kind of a roll of the dice with me these days with it, whereas some days it will just completely allow me to focus up and zone in on whatever I'm doing in a really kind of wonderful way that allows me to like not think about other stuff. But it can go completely the opposite way where it's like, hey, you know that thing that you thought you'd resolved in your brain? Why don't we think about this again and maybe pick it apart and go, maybe you haven't resolved it, and it can just kind of go, you know, bad
I hate, I
easily.
hate, I hate the paranoia. I
I mean,
hate
like
it.
I'm paranoid anyway, but like I don't think it's helping. So yeah, so we'll see how it goes. But it's
Okay.
just an interesting sort of crux point that we've hit as we're recording
Mm-hmm.
this, as.
Mm-hmm.
So we shall see
Okay. Speaking of change, right?
what's occurring. Oh wait, hold on a minute. Do you have any occurring or we
I do actually
okay.
to talk. I need to talk about weed.
Yeah, okay, perfect.
So I spent $70 on THC water,
Hell yeah. Oh yes. Okay, hell
and
yeah.
it came, and Mike was in Chicago, and I was like, this is a good time to like see how it goes. And so I had like three of them, yeah. I was trying to be like, I'm gonna do this instead of like having wine or whatever.
Uh-huh.
Um, so I ended up having like 3 cans in rapid succession and then just being like, now it's a good idea to start drinking. and then and then eating all the things.
Sure.
So I tried again the next day. And I got super paranoid.
Oh
This is
no,
like it's
really?
like 1 milligram per can.
Oy.
Um, so but yeah, I ended up like it just like it's almost like I got really high and then got really like paranoid and got really hungry. And it's
Uh-huh.
almost like I
Uh-huh.
should have just smoked weed and not had the 250 calories or whatever
Yeah.
from like continually drinking. So now I have, and then, but then like there was a Harper had a play date and like they came over at like noon and I was like, it's too early to offer a mom a glass of wine. So I was like, I'm just gonna drink this nice grapefruit drink that
Uh-huh.
she doesn't
Uh-huh.
know has weed in it.
Uh-huh.
And it was that for that it was nice. It
Yeah.
allowed me to just kind of like, and she had a lot to talk about, so I was just like in like passive listening
Oh,
mode.
that's a dream.
Hmm.
I do love somebody who'll just like talk at me and I'm like, oh, perfect.
Yep, 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 yep. So I would recommend it for, I guess, children's play dates.
Sure. Okay.
Um, but not like, I don't know, when you're like cooking dinner and it's like,
No. Whenever you
yeah,
have,
when you're I just stood in the kitchen for like hours and just like ate all the things I shouldn't have eaten,
oh,
basically.
see, you mean like that's the upside to weight.
Yeah,
How
I
good,
know.
how good food tastes and everything.
Yes, yes.
No, that's cool.
So yeah, so I don't know about canned water.
Mm-hmm.
But
Interesting.
they also have like you know how you can get like coffee in little like instant coffee in little like one serving containers. They have I was looking at their website the other day. They actually have like you can take it to a restaurant and open it and then pour it in your beverage, like at a restaurant, and like
Interesting.
discreet. Yeah. So I was like, well, that's a good idea.
Yeah, that's quite nice. I like that. Yeah.
And that's
Um,
$20 for 12. So
okay. I
mhm.
yeah, and I think like it's why I really kind of wish it was legalized here because I find it edibly it's definitely the preferable option for me. So
Have you ever eaten dry weed?
no. I
I have, seriously?
really no.
Yeah. Oh, fuck yeah.
I have a friend who like told me
I
they
would
were.
like chew the stems just to taste the
Oh,
flavor.
really? No, I don't even. I don't
Yeah.
think I even like the flavor that much. Like, I just want the effect. It's fine, but I'm not crazy about it. But my friend had even talked to me about because the device I have, I can't remember what it does to it, but it doesn't extract all of the content from it. And he like with the leftovers, he like puts it with Nutella on toast and that's it like that. And I'm just
Yeah.
like, yeah, I don't know about that for me, but
Like I've smoked resin, dude.
oh, here,
Poor,
well, that.
yeah, poor college student. And I'm like, this still has something in it, I'm sure.
That was
Oh,
all. That was all we could get as a kid was the
really?
resin blocks. It was nasty. Yeah, really
So
nasty.
gross.
Yeah,
So
big
gross.
time. But anyway, but yeah, do we have any more current stuff, or are we just going to talk about weed for
Just weed.
30
Just
minutes?
weed. That's all I have for
Okay, I don't think I don't have anything for this week.
okay.
So time for a change then, Beth.
I hate change, Andy.
Don't we all? And why do we hate change?
Okay, so we're talking about life experiences
Huh?
that changed us.
Hmm.
So I wanted to know how you define like a life-changing experience.
Ooh, so I would say that it's something that stays with me for a start,
Mhm,
something that I still think about now. Because this was a really easy one in terms of us. We talked about this and I started putting stuff down. It was really easy to come to because it's just like those things are still so resonant to me now, today, and I still feel their impact, you know.
mhm,
So I think but and I don't think they're always necessarily good, but like but like they have shaped me, you know. So I think that's probably how I would define it. What about
mhm.
you?
I kind of define it as, you know, as a crossroads
Hmm.
where you can go this way or you can go this way. Um, and how you respond to whatever this experience is, you can go this way or you can go this way. Um, so I guess like there has to be, it's basically like a catalyst that shapes your life for
Yeah,
the good or for good or bad.
I like that. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Did you make a list?
I did. I did
Okay, can I
indeed.
ask you if the majority are negative or positive?
Um, Positive for the most part, I would say. Just having a quick look at them here now. Yeah. What about you?
Same, same.
Yeah.
I was surprised to be like, oh, most like I really like a couple of things that are negative that we can get into.
I think some of them are mixed. Do you know what I mean? I think some of
Hmm.
them I look at and I'm like, but you know, in the long run, they probably had a positive impact on me, but maybe at the time they were, you know, tinged with mixed emotions, really.
Yeah.
Um, but I think those are the experiences that probably shape you more, you know, in that way.
Hmm. Um, so do you want to talk about some of the good
Yeah.
life experiences that you've had
Um,
that changed you, and then how did they change you, I guess?
yes, I was the initial one, the first one that I wrote down was that was me going to North Carolina for University of North Carolina. I think I've talked about it before. I
What was their mascot? What is their
the
mascot?
the Tar Heels.
Oh,
I
oh,
yeah, it is. I
really?
know. Yeah,
Okay.
it's where Tar Heels was the name. It was the I don't know I don't even know what that signifies now, honestly, or even if they're still a Tar Heels, but that was the sort of thing. I don't even know if it was a mascot, but that's the only all that I know of when I think about them. And
So it's basically barefoot people, meaning like low trade,
I
like lower
see.
trade.
Interesting. Okay, I
Uh-huh.
like it. Um, and since it seems a bit underdoggy, which is nice, I guess, in a way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so
Aren't you impressed? I just pulled that out of my
very good.
my
Your
mind palace.
your mind palace. Um, so prior to that, and it's a constant quest throughout my life to actually, gain confidence in myself. And I also like to, and this probably was the start of that pattern,
Mhm.
whereas I really kind of was like, I need to throw myself into situations that scare me and so to deal with them and to help me gain confidence or whatever. And this was very much one of these things where I was like, this was the first time property traveling by myself. I was what, 19. um I got sick, very sick on the way over. I think I got sick on the plane on the way over. I remember the first 2 days like being sort of like really feverish dreams and things like that. It
Ooh.
was absolutely wild. And just really kind of struggling at first because I'm not still not I never have been that good at actually meeting people. But fortunately, the kind of halls that we were in was very much uh, all people from that sort of in that sort of what's the word I'm looking for. They all had the same experience. They were all coming from either different countries or they were coming from different states, so it was easier to like make
So
connections
you
and stuff.
were in like the international hall or whatever?
Yes, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
Um, so it was good in that way, but like and so like it really was hard and scary, and I made some good friends. And because I went halfway through the year, a lot of people had already created friend groups or made friends and stuff, so I felt a wee bit like of an interloper at first, but it was fine. And like all of that was such a learning experience on so many levels. um I miserable at times, but there was good times and bad times being out there. But I overall look at it as a positive experience. I still have so many fond memories from there. One of the friends that I made there has been a lifelong friend. He's Scottish, and it's knowing him, like he's been such a pivotal person in my life in terms of he has had really big impacts and in terms of the directions my life has taken, which I'll get to talking about a later one. So
Mhm.
like just knowing him has been, if that was the only thing I got out of this trip, it would have been an incredible life-changing experience. So yeah, that's very much the first one because I think it really influenced my life going forwards in terms of how I like to approach things, in terms of both throwing myself into those situations and also loving to travel so
Mhm.
much.
Mhm. It's interesting. A lot of we have some similarities in
Oh
our,
yeah?
yeah. So mine was I guess my first big one was moving from Kentucky to Oregon. And that was, I think, like how you were saying, there's good and bad or positives and negatives. It was like both.
Yep.
Like I left, I was no longer a mountain girl. I left everything I ever knew. Um, but I gained, you know, sidewalks and
Mhm.
friends that I've had like, my whole life. Um, but it was definitely, I was in third grade, so I was probably 9,
Mhm.
and um it was it was a good thing, like new place. And that, I think that's where I really started to understand, you can go to another environment and adapt.
Yeah.
And I didn't really know that, at
Yeah.
the time. So, like at 9 years old, like that was
I,
a big lesson to learn.
I suppose some people go through life and never really have to learn that in a lot of ways. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know people that in where I grew up in Oregon that have like never been to Mount Hood, which is an hour away, and it's
Yeah.
like because yeah,
Yeah.
lived there
I
their whole lives.
yep. And I know many people like that here as well. Do you know what I mean? Who
Uh,
really
yeah.
don't. Like even a trip to Belfast is like okay, and that's 20 minutes drive away from here, it's
Going to the big city.
yeah, got the big smoke. Um,
Um, and then I wrote down college also,
mhm.
and it was meeting my best friend, and learning from her, how to love myself,
Mm,
that I was cool, and really like I didn't know what having a best friend really felt like.
mm,
And then also, how to make my own fun, because that's all we did was just like, if we're having fun, that's all that matters. It doesn't
yeah.
matter if anyone else is or isn't, like as long as we're like enjoying this experience, um, fuck
No, I
everybody
love
else
it.
kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's a good attitude to have, I think, about these
mhm.
things.
I don't know, but
Well,
we laughed a lot and we
yeah,
still do. So
exactly. I mean, like, there's something powerful about that, I think. Um, no, that's nice. I think, and it's funny because, I, I mean, university was definitely, I made a group of friends there that I'm still close with. And, one friend in particular who I studied with. And, he's another one who is, foundational in terms of my life and has been, a good friend for so long now, and it was another good thing in terms of like, not that so I've talked about this a bit before about uh, name a place in the world and you will find divisions based on some sort of lines for whatever reason here, Catholic, Protestant, and the town I come from is so steeped in, it's so Protestant. I have to say my parents weren't really like that at all, but like they didn't really care about those things that much. But like it was kind of good being exposed to like people from all sorts of different backgrounds and kind of going, oh yeah, they're just, people.
people are people.
Some of them suck, some of them are good, it's they're no different to, any of the rest of us really. And that was it was a good experience for me in that way. It really was.
Mhm. It's good. What else you got?
So the next one is that I noted down, it directly sort of fed off my sort of North Carolina trip, which was me going to um Korea for the first time. Well, yeah, for the first time. I have been there more than once. And so I had out of come out of university, I had done my traveling. I so immediately after uni, I had been planning to go to Australia with that very good friend I made in university. And I met somebody about half a year earlier, and I still had the plan and I had still intended to go. And the girl I was with was like, she didn't want me to go because, she was like, we're starting a new relationship. She was like, I don't know if I want you to go for like 6 months to a year, et cetera, which I understand. And so I ended up, you know, deciding I wanted to stay with her and see what happened. And I kind of let my friend know. He was really disappointed, of course, which was really kind of gotten to me. We did actually end up going like 10 years later together, which was nice. So we did make good in that in the end. But anyway, I'd say in that relationship, we were together for, I think we were together for 7 years.
Serial monogamous.
Uh-huh. That's me. It's your boy. And I, but I was like so antsy, like, I did this because it's like, oh, well, this is what I'm supposed to do, right? I'm supposed to meet somebody and we're supposed to then, talk about marriage and life together and having kids and whatnot. And like, I remember thinking about that a lot as a kid, but then as time went on, I don't know, its appeal kind of faded for me. And I had friends who were like traveling and doing things. And I remember clearly my friend who I'd met in North Carolina sending emails about his experience in North Korea or not North Korea, in South Korea. And I was like, oh, I'm so jealous. I've always wanted to do something like this. I probably will never get a chance now. I'm kind of gutted about that. Then about a year later, I kind of knew that the relationship was coming to an end. I had known for a while, and kind of one thing led to another. We split, and 2 months later, I was in Korea because, like, essentially, my friend had sent her an email saying, "I'm leaving. I'm leaving my job. If any of you will be interested in taking it, let me know." And I was like, "Well, timing's perfect. Why mess around? Let's get out of here." And it was fucking hard because it was like you know, even though I was like, this relationship's not for me, it was still getting out of a 7-year relationship and then immediately throwing yourself into like a completely foreign country that, country that's very foreign to me in every way. So it was a real baptism of fire, and I struggled with it. I've got to say at first a lot. Um, but
How
I
come?
just, I think in that moment when I was kind of going through that breakup, I kind of probably could have done with a bit more comfort from people who knew me, and I didn't have any of that. So I was dealing with that. I was also dealing with like homesickness. Um, I remember 4 or 5 months in, essentially being very, very close to booking flights back home. I didn't bother in the end. And like overall, I look back at that year as one of the best years of my life. I still have friends. I love the pieces from that trip. Like more than any other place I visited, I made so many amazing friends in that one year that I really, still care about a lot. Um, so like, but I also remember the bad times of that as well. It was such a mixed, it was such a mixed bag. It really was. Um, so yeah, so that trip was really formative for me, and that was my first big sort of foray into like a proper adventure, throwing myself once again into the deep end of a country I've never been to. I had never been out east. So this was, I still think about, like, I still remember clearly being picked up in the airport and like driving to our apartment, and it was like, where am I? This is,
What have I
where
done?
I very clearly one of the teachers at the school I was teaching at, because I met my friend there because there was a bit of like a week crossover, and we went to one of his friends, his co-teacher's houses, and she had a piano, and like just not because of anything in particular, she was just noodling around on the piano, and she started playing Somewhere Over the Rainbow, and I was like, whoa. This is kind of very spooky and very appropriate. So yeah, so that was very formative, and another big one with me. And again, another major swerve in my life because of that friend that I met in North Carolina.
That's amazing. I
Yeah,
love it.
that's a good one. What are you? What you got next?
I need to talk about 2007.
Okay, hit me.
So, have you ever heard of Saturn's return?
I don't think so.
Okay, so it's like an astrology term.
Okay,
So I'm going to read the definition.
okay.
Um, so it's when the planet Saturn finds its way back to the same place it was when you were born. So it takes between 27 and 30 years for Saturn to travel through the zodiac.
Hmm.
And that means that everyone goes through a Saturn return in their 20s and their 50s and their 80s. Um, and because Saturn is the planet of like responsibilities,
Okay,
um, and like time and wisdom, a Saturn return is basically like your astrological coming of age. So like big thing, you'll have like really big shifts in your life because of this
interesting.
planet,
Hmm.
basically. Um, and so like it says like it's a push that you need to enter true adulthood. It demands you take full and complete accountability for your choices.
Hmm.
Um, and like major transformation happens. So in 2007 I had my set. I know like I'm totally sure I had my Saturn's return. And people in their 50s, like the term like midlife crisis,
Yes.
that's
Hmm.
probably due to, the Saturn's return. So 2007, um, I got divorced.
Hmm.
I re-met Mike.
Mm-hmm.
I went to Burning Man for the first time, and my father died.
That's a wild one.
All within March, April, May, June, July, August, September, like 8 months. So it was in fucking sane.
Yeah.
I've like super happy to get out of a marriage that was like really toxic and awful. A month later, Mike got kicked out of Tahiti and he was deported because he overstayed his visa, and so he had to come back to the States for 2 weeks. Um, and his mom was like, "You should call Beth Martin. She's single right now." And so we went out, and it was amazing, and I like totally fell in love. And then um I had made the decision because my sister had gone the year before that I was going to go to Burning Man, and I got a scholarship ticket, and I was like, the signs say I need to go.
Mm-hmm.
And then in December, no, it was like the day after Thanksgiving. Um and Andy's heard me tell this story, but for listeners who maybe have gone through something similar, I found out that my dad was dying of cancer, and he
Mm-hmm.
had cancer for 3.5 years and kept it a secret. And a week later, he passed away. So I had new love, new life, excitement. Like my life was exploding into like something absolutely amazing. Like going to Burning Man for the first time was just like, um, I just felt all the possibility of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, the worst possible thing that could ever happen to me actually happened. I might cry a little bit.
Yeah.
Um,
Understandable.
so it was a lot all at
Yeah.
once. And um, so now I'm shifting into a life-changing experience that was really difficult, and that was losing my dad.
And like what, you know, absolute whiplash as well, like you're saying. I mean, like, yeah, I don't know how any human is supposed to deal with that, honestly.
Yeah.
It's really crazy.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
like I didn't know like real grief before that. Like I didn't have any
Mm,
concept of it. And like and then all of a sudden like you're watching your father get wheeled out of the house on a gurney and like um scream. I was like his last like moments with me, I was screaming. And I
yeah.
feel so bad about that. And then it was like I remember like I had all these like physical responses. I stopped eating. I couldn't eat. I couldn't like process food. I couldn't digest food. My pupils like dilated for a month. They were
Jeez.
huge. Like I
Uh-huh.
looked like I was, Mike was like, "You look like you're on acid." And I'm like, "I know, but like I'm not
I
taking it."
yeah,
It's
I
like
wish. Yeah.
it's just like my body when it was I went into shock. It was the weirdest thing. And so for listeners and for basically for everyone, like I hope I never want anyone to have to go through that feeling, but
No.
it's just kind of like something that that everyone's going to have to go through at some point. We all lose someone that is like so close and like so personal, and we all deal with it differently. And like I dealt with it by ignoring it for 5 years,
Yep.
and I like went back to work and just like worked and like didn't deal with the grief and didn't deal with the grief. Um, and I wish that I had the tools to like deal with that shit but I
Yeah.
didn't at the time. And that took me down, once I did start dealing with it, that took me down like a spiritual path, gave me a lot of new tools. There's definitely like out of grief and out of loss, like things do grow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's hard to see that and know that at the time, like you're going through it, that's something, positive will come from it.
Yeah.
And also, like, I think when other people go through a similar experience, like I'm there, I understand, I can hold them and hold space and like really just like
Yeah.
it's like people say that it's like joining a club you never wanted to actually join,
Yeah.
but like there are good people there kind of thing.
Yeah.
So Um,
I,
that's a lot, but
and I think it speaks to you as well, because like I think a lot of people go through life having been affected by something like this and never really deal with it or ever really kind of
Yeah.
like think
Yeah.
about it in any sort of major way. They just kind of try to plow through it. Like they keep doing what you said you were doing, that 5 years of just like sticking their head down and working away. And I just think that that's so much more damaging, not only to them, but like people in their lives as well.
Yeah. And I started having like physical stuff happening. And it's because I was like carrying this thing that I
Yeah.
wasn't, it's like, it's like I was like hauling this giant rock around and pretending it wasn't there
Yeah.
instead
Yeah.
of being like, get a pickaxe and like, you know,
It's
bash
such
that
a
thing apart.
chipping away at this thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Yeah. No, that's yeah. And I mean, like I count myself very lucky, touching wood. I have, exceptionally lucky that I've had no major traumas in terms of, like I've had grandparents die and things like that. I had, and but I've never, had anybody that I've been super close with that has been. I was close to the grandparents before anybody asks me. I love them, but like, a friend but like with grandparents you kind of see their decline a lot of the time and it's
well, and it's
expected.
like when it happens like at a natural
Yes,
point, it's like
it-
it's easier to deal with
it's true.
things. And like I've read something that says like when you after 40, if your parent passes, it's a lot easier to deal with than
Interesting.
before 40. And I was like, yeah, I would think I was 27.
Yeah,
So it was too soon. And it was like, uh,
100%.
yeah,
Yeah,
and obviously traumatic because then I had all the like, why didn't you tell me what, like,
yeah.
I didn't know this whole time. And like, so, and
No,
also like, I'm in love with this man and he's trying to like, like Mike held me for a year after my
yeah,
dad died. So like good on him
yeah. That's why
for
Mike
that.
rocks. Yeah, so I'm
Yeah.
really glad that you met Mike at that time. And honestly, yeah,
I
yeah.
think it's horrible to say, but I think I would have become like a drug addict
Mm,
had he not like just like hugged me for a year. I
yeah,
think I would have gone down like a really unhealthy bad road
yeah,
or like
yeah.
been overly promiscuous or like it would have come
Sure.
out in weird ways. And instead, like Mike was like, no, we're gonna build an art car.
Yeah,
No,
that's what we're
we're gonna
talking. Yeah,
travel.
yeah.
You're gonna learn to scuba dive, like, so he kept me busy.
Mike rocks.
I know.
Yeah, that's yeah, yeah.
So I'm curious, like,
Hmm.
was South Korea, like, was that your Saturn's return, do you think?
Um.
Were you in your 20s?
Probably, but like I think I've said to you before, I feel like I'm having like cascading Saturn's returns throughout my life. I just feel like it's one long string of Saturn's returns,
Right?
honestly.
That
I,
is fair.
I mean, maybe it'll come to an end at some point, but who knows, really, because it's like and I think I've expressed this in the pod before. I think I've expressed it to you certainly, but like it is kind of been the pattern of my life that I have something resembling normalcy for like 6, 7 years, and then I
Yes.
just go off on a tangent and just do something else completely different. And whether that's based around a relationship or travel or just a change in terms of what I'm doing to make money or I'm doing to make my to I hate for work, but you know what I mean, things that
Yeah.
like so certainly in recent years it has been leaving IT, which from a point of view of stability is seen as where maybe not so much now, but 4 or 5 years ago was seen as a stable thing, with a future. It was well paid. This is post or pre AI with so the game has changed now. So like yeah, and I don't think that I I mean, like I really don't know what like I have not lived a conventional life in any stretch of the imagination. I think that has been both good and bad for me, honestly. I don't think it's been any better than living a conventional life. And like there's part of me would like to have something more conventional, but it's just not really kind of been on the cards, unfortunately. I so who knows? I can honestly see, like, I am already, getting itchy feet in terms of being here. Like, I mean, the thing that keeps me here is Sasha more than
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
And I love her, but also like I'm responsible for her, and I take that seriously, and I'm not going to go anywhere while she's still in the picture. Um, but I really don't know what the next few years of my life kind of are going to have in store for me in that regard. And there may be another sort of big Saturn's return any day now.
I like that. I like that you know your pattern, right?
Yeah,
And it's almost like I'm excited to see what's coming
yeah,
for you in
yeah,
that regard, right? Like, oh, it could be, and we've talked about like, off pod, like some ideas of what you might do, but
yeah. It's true. Who knows?
the
I mean, like,
obvious one is you're moving to Southern
well,
California.
this is true,
So
and we have talked about that. I yeah, who knows? It may happen. Yeah, it's always like it's so hard to predict, but like, and I don't do it intentionally. Like, I really kind of quite like catching up with people I haven't seen in a long time. They're like, what have you been doing? And I'm like, oh man, I don't even know where to start
right,
answering that question.
right.
uh you know um so yeah, who knows? I'm a true Renaissance man,
Yeah,
right?
you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are.
Thanks. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Um, so like, so that was actually just because it has yeah, because I was talking about her. I think like getting Sasha was such a big thing for me. I it's an interesting one because like it's pretty me being in my own head and paranoid and stuff like that. I think people who don't have the relationship with animals can
Yes.
underplay it or don't really understand it, and like how powerful it is. And it was because like I'd always wanted a dog, and it just the way, like, as I say, the person that I got the dog from, Sasha was his sister's dog, and he was looking after her for an extended period of time, and she was like, I don't think I'm gonna keep coming back for her, which was crazy to me. And it really kind of forced my hand. It's one of the best things I've ever done.
Mhm.
There's something about having like some a presence there that doesn't ask you. You know what I love about dogs? Not a single dog is ever going to ask me if I'm okay, and I am truly grateful for that, or if I'm all right, or any of those things. They're just going to hang out, and they can read things in a way that like other people can't. I think they're in touch with emotional components of things, and whether that's just because they view the world through scent and things like that rather than actual eyesight, um or interpret the world through scent, I guess. But it's interesting, and like it has been it will always be a one of the like pivotal relationships in my life. And I think some people are going to think that's quite sad, but I completely disagree.
I
I
absolutely think it's like one of the most beautiful things ever.
It is like, and like, I like, because and even like I was having a conversation with somebody about their dog the other day, and they had an old elderly dog whose health was really bad and died last year. I met him a few times, but not loads, and I'm walking their other young dog now. We were just talking about her, and I was talking about starting to see the signs of aging in Sasha, and like I was just getting upset, like immediately upset, and
Yeah.
she could see it, she could see it immediately. So yeah, so I mean, so like, I mean, uh, and it's funny because I got her around the same sort of time as I started to get into a new relationship, and one of those has lasted the test of time, in terms of like my dog relationship. Uh, I it's interesting because I have another memory that is tied to that relationship that I'm going to get into later. But yeah, although I remember close to the end of that relationship, somebody asking me, who do you love more, your ex or Sasha? And like without a
It was
second's
Sasha.
hesitation, Sasha. And it's true. It's true. I do. So yeah, so that's another, and it is pivotal. It really is. As I say, it's been it's very key in the recent years of my life.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, Halloween is obviously like my favorite time of year, not
Yeah.
because trick or treating, but I'm like, what are Andy and Sasha going to wear
Hell
this year?
yeah.
Um, I'm gonna have to say having kids,
Yeah, absolutely.
uh, definitely changes your life,
Yep.
obviously, but I think I was lacking purpose, and
Mm-hmm.
instead of like having hobbies like normal people, I was like just literally threw myself into my job,
Yeah.
and that was my baby, and it's really unhealthy.
Yeah, I agree.
So I ended up Mike and I were having a conversation like, should we have kids? Yes. And then he was like, I think like you should, because I was working 80 hours a week as an event planner for college. It was
Yeah,
like
are you
a
telling me?
big, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
big job. And he was like, I think you should probably like, I don't think you can do both.
Yep.
And I was like, no, I don't think I can either. And he was like, well, why don't you like quit your job? You have her and just not go back to work. And I was like, he said the words I wanted to hear so bad.
And you're like,
Like,
yeah.
yeah. So I get to like hang out with my baby. And
Oh, that's awesome.
um it just gave me like a different often also like I care more about what happens on to the planet on this planet because I know, and and I'm not saying this to be trite, but it's like these kids have to carry the mantle
Yep.
after, our generation is passed, and like what are we setting them up for? And I also think that it's going to be they are like my greatest gift to
Yeah.
everyone because I'm trying to raise good humans, and that feels good.
Yeah. No, I like that. That's a nice one.
And I think so far they're doing really well.
I I think that's such a healthy way to think about kids, in your relationship with kids. Because I see, not probably in a lot of people I know, but I see people who have kids, as a way to extend their legacy or some shit like that, like some sort of ego trip. And I hate it. It's such an, I like, I certainly in terms of my experience and what I've seen, it's not a great environment to raise a kid in. Do you know what I mean? Whenever
You're
they're
just
they're
setting them up for failure.
yeah, truly, it's awful. So, yeah, I like to hear that. That's nice.
Yeah. No, it's kind of like the way that, when Mike and I first started dating and I was like, let's just see like if he makes the right choices.
Hmm.
And he always does. It's like I'm
Hmm.
interested to see if they make the right choices. And they don't always because they're fucking kids and
Sure.
they're figuring it out, right?
Yep.
But for the most part, like they do. And they're good little people.
Yeah.
So
Well, it speaks to you as well. Yeah, I'm
yeah. We're the
um,
best parents ever. Like our kids aren't gonna have to go to therapy because
yeah.
I'm already like just you know what? Yeah, this is for your therapist
Yeah. Yeah.
in
Yeah.
your 20s.
Write this one down. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
You'll later look back on
You need
this.
it
Yeah.
later.
I love it.
Yeah.
So I think maybe start coming to the end now. I'm gonna see. I don't know if you've got any others. One. So just because I teased it, I'll just talk about it briefly. And
Yeah. Do you want to do
another
one more
trip,
each?
yeah, was and it's such a pivotal trip for me. So with my most recent relationship, most recent long-term relationship, just before, so she ended up going to Australia, and that was kind of beginning of the end of our relationship. There was the wheels were coming off in ways here and there in the lead up to that. But she was like, she wanted to go to Australia. I said, look, I don't know how I could deny you that since an experience I had. So I supported her in that. And because nobody else in her life really kind of believed in her and supported her. Um, so I was like, look, I got your back, I'm here for you. Like, one of the reasons why it all stung so much whenever, it went south. But the kind of in the year and the lead up to that, we went a trip to Cuba. And like it was such an incredible trip. And I remember thinking on that trip that I've never been more in love with anybody in my life. I was like, I have a future with this person. They're incredible. And like so that's it's such a cornerstone of that relationship and where I was at the minute at that time. And like I kind of knew after the effect anyway, that like whenever things started going wrong, and because of that as the sort of like cornerstone of our relationship, and thinking about that trip and how much in love we sort of were, or how much I felt that when things were starting to fall apart, that it was really I was gonna really hurt a lot from it,
You just like, oh, this is gonna cause damage.
Yeah, this one's gonna really be really bad. And it was really bad, and it still is kind of not great, I mean, like it's mostly in history now, but it's still something that has resonated with me, throughout those years. And I think that trip was such a kind of, yeah, a big part of it. And like when I think about that trip, I still think of it as one of my most favorite trips ever. I really do.
Hmm. Hmm. It's hard, um, because I see how it's impacted you,
Yeah.
and but I also see, like, because I'm I've known you, what, going on 5 years
Yep.
now, so I also see the growth that you've
Yeah.
made, and I hope you give yourself credit for, like, how far you've come, and I can
So
see on
yeah.
your face you're like, "No, I
Not
don't."
really, no. Depends on the day. I'd say more often not than yes, but it is what it
But
is.
you
It's just
are. You
thank you.
are.
I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Do you have
So, I
another?
do, I mean, obviously, like, long COVID, which I don't
Yeah.
think I've really talked about a lot. I've, like, given hints of, like,
Yeah.
I have it, but so basically, I'm gonna try and make it short, but, the world shut down on Friday the 13th,
Mm-hmm.
2020, and I had my first COVID fever.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and then I progressively got worse and worse and worse, and then I was dying
Yeah.
over about a year and a half. And Andy has been on this journey with me
Mm-hmm.
the whole time. But I was so sick, I lost my job. I lost my ability to parent. I lost my ability to be a wife. I wasn't a mother. I wasn't a wife. I wasn't employed. I was laying in bed all day, every day, because I didn't have the strength to get out. Um, I was suicidal. I had 40 different symptoms, and they kept changing, and it was a scary time to be alive in the world
Yeah.
because of the pandemic, but also I didn't have care. No one knew what to do with me. No one believed that I had anything. No, so I
Yeah.
was, an early adopter of this horrible,
Yes. But
horrible.
back when it was cool.
Right. I'm OG. I'm
Yeah, you're
OG.
energy. Yeah.
So I ended up, I tried a whole bunch of different treatments, and, we were just scrambling and scrambling and
Yeah.
scrambling. And I was 104 pounds. I had no memory. I had no brain. I had, like, people like say brain fog. It was more than that. And people are like, oh, you lose your memory with age. And I'm like, I wrote
I
the
hate that shit.
wrong age of my child on his birthday cake, and I was
No.
arguing with my daughter about it. And I'm like, he's turning 4. She's like, he's turning 5. I'm like, he's turning 4. It's on the cake. And then I'm like, I put the wrong number on the fucking cake. And, like, sobbing as I'm taking it off and, like, putting the
Sure.
right on, right? It's just, so I have 60,000 words written down about this experience.
Yeah.
But I ended up getting, stem cell therapy in
Mm-hmm.
Mexico,
Mm-hmm.
and that saved my life. So,
Yeah.
I am still working my way through it. It is still part of my everyday experience. But I've gotten to the point where I don't let it, if I have a bad day, which happens, weekly still, I don't allow myself to feel as much guilt about
Hmm.
it.
Hmm.
Um, I'm working on, finding the right doctors and right levels of medication, checking the hormones, getting all the things done. But it has been, other than losing my dad, it has been the hardest thing I've ever been through in my
Yeah.
life. And it's like that saying, like, like, at least we have our health. It's like once
Oh,
that goes, man,
yeah.
it is a fucked up world. And you realize that, our healthcare system, they don't want you to get better.
There's, there,
They yeah, you're worth more,
there's no profits.
sick.
There's no
There's no
profit
profits.
in making you better. Yeah.
And when
Sadly.
you have something that no one knows what to do with you, they just
Yeah.
want you dead. So
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
been something else. So
It's no joke.
So,
No.
but also like I'm sure we will get listeners that have long COVID
Yeah.
because I'm gonna hashtag it. I am here to answer any questions that people have about whatever treatments. I still have a great relationship with my doctor in Mexico, and there's a very reputable clinic. It's certified by the government, and it's legal there. And it's not in the United States unless you're within one generation of the cells and they're frozen, whereas in Mexico they're fresh. But that's another topic for another day. But if
Yeah.
there are listeners that are curious, please reach out and I'm happy to answer any questions that people have because I know that there are a lot of people out there that are struggling
Yeah.
to find answers and find a way through. And because I was there. So
Yeah. And
that's
yeah, make sure you send those questions to Beth because I have
yeah.
very little insight. If you've got questions about like making friends with dogs,
Right.
Andy's your guy.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, no, it's like and we did because we were in touch quite a bit over there, and like I saw the impact on you, and it was tough to see. And it's great. It's been great, kind of seeing where you're at now compared to where you were at then as well, and it's been really lovely to
Yeah.
see the improvements in that way. And also like, but it's like what I mean, what a scary thing to be on the ground floor of a new sort of illness as well that nobody has any idea of how to deal with it. It's really grim.
Yeah. And I'm there it's like this happens more than, there are mystery illnesses everywhere all the time. People get, a virus and all of a sudden, they have an autoimmune
Yeah,
issue and like it's like this happens. It was just on such a massive scale and it's still like they still don't know the
yeah, yeah.
numbers. And it's going to be trillions of dollars, over five. I've done all the math. So
Wild, truly wild.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. So I'm just grateful that you were there with me
Of
through the
course.
process
So
and
was I.
like that we're still friends
Of
and I
course.
appreciate all the support and like all the times that I was like sobbing over this and yeah,
I
maybe
mean,
you heard
like
it all.
that was a two-way street. I was sobbing at you as well.
That's true.
Um, so
The
yeah.
sob twins.
I think exactly. I think the one last thing to say, and I'm just going to mention it briefly, and then we can move on to our joy. But was
Ugh.
probably the other kind of key moment, sort of life changing moment that for
Do you have
both of
yoga
us.
teacher training?
So yoga teacher training, right?
It's on
I
my
mean,
list
like,
too.
yeah, it's of course it is because like it was seared into my brain, and will always, and it's very formative for me. So yeah, that's another
Yeah.
big one. But
Highly
yeah,
recommend going somewhere
yeah.
for 2 weeks and immersing yourself in yoga.
Yes, absolutely. It'll be an
Do it.
experience unlike any other for sure.
Yeah, do it. But I also think like our group of people, our group of friends,
Yeah,
like are the best
we're good.
ones.
It was a good bunch. Yeah, truly.
It was. Okay. Do you want to
S-
talk joy?
Yeah, I'll talk joy. I will. The thing that's kind of been bringing me joy. I haven't been because it's in my back's been sore. I haven't been doing a ton of stuff recently. So, but I took Sash up for a walk recently. There's been a lot of rain over the past few months, so like all our sort of lakes and whatnot are really full. She loves to swim. And so I took her for a swim. I just watching her joy at swimming and like looking at me as she's swimming, like, look, I'm swimming. Uh,
Do you see? Do you
you're like,
see?
you see me? Look, I'm swimming. Is brings me so much joy. So that happened just a few days ago, and it was very lovely.
I love it.
Yeah, that was a
I
good one.
hope I get to I hope I get to see her
Yeah,
swim.
we should really make that happen. Yeah.
What dog? What dog?
Yep.
So my joy is, have I done my Roomba yet?
I don't know if you have. No,
I
not on pod anyway.
I love my Roomba so much.
Uh-huh.
It brings me so much joy. Like I would Roomba every day if I didn't have family or pets that hate the Roomba.
Yeah.
But like putting all the chairs up and like it vacuums everything. And sometimes I'll just like stare at it while it vacuums. And like it always goes where it's not supposed to, or you're like in the kitchen cooking and it's like it decides to, oh, I'm gonna go like right where you're standing trying to make meals. It follows Mike around. It like drives everyone crazy. I fucking love it. I know it's like,
So fun.
it's like iRobot in your house or
Yeah.
whatever, but
It's
I
a
it's cool
yeah.
with me.
It's like I'm trying to remember. Futurama had like a robot soap opera, and there was like a kind of robot that just made bleeping noises that would like appear out of hedges and stuff. I'm just imagining the Roomba as that, just like appearing out of nowhere. Uh,
Here I
yeah, it's great,
am.
amazing,
I'm gonna suck up all your Legos.
perfect.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
So yeah.
Cool. So yeah, so I think we're coming to the end, folks. As always, we'd like to remind you if you could subscribe to us on your platform of choice, leave us likes and all sorts of, glowing reviews and whatnot would be much
That'd be
appreciated
amazing.
if you could. Um, but yeah, so yeah, I think is there anything else you'd like to mention, Beth, before we finish off?
Our website is bendypodcast.com.
Yep,
Check it out.
please do.
That's where you can find all the things.
Hmm.
And again, if you want to share any life-changing experiences that you have or ask questions or need support, just let us know.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. So in that case, as always, we'd like to remind you to stay bendy. I was just ahead of you there. It really messed things up.
Still going.
Right.
All
Bye.
right.
We
Bye.
love you.
Bye
Bye
bye. We
bye.
love you. Bye.
Okay, cool.
Sorry, I cried.
Don't be sorry you cried at
It's all
all. As long
good.
as you're okay with crying on the pod, it's okay with
Uh,
me.
no, it's fine. So this is 28.
Yeah.